Good evening. My name is Carrie Stair. I'm here on behalf of LGBT Equality Alliance of Chester County. We have Outfest on Saturday, and I would love to request a fee removal for the posting request we submitted today.
Can I ask Ramsey to respond to that?
Yeah, so if anybody's asking for a fee waiver, I just ask that they come before you all. It's $100, so it's not a huge fee. So it's up to you if you guys are comfortable with that. If blessing the $100 fee waiver.
Why would we waive the fee?
We're a local nonprofit, and our budget is tight, so $100 is a pretty big deal to us.
I'm not in favor of it.
There are two of us here.
So, may I,
Yes, please.
I'll pay the fee for you, for the group.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I don't think Sheila heard you.
Hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll pay the fee for the group.
Pay the fee. Okay. Well, that solves that. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. We will move on then to the discussion items. A is Katie Walker, President Greater Westchester Chamber of Commerce Christmas Parade support.
Yes, thank you very much. Hello, Bernie, Sheila. So I am here to talk about the Christmas parade, which is coming again on Friday, December 1st to the borough of Westchester. We have been in the planning stages of this since pretty much early 2023. As you all know, this is a pretty big event for downtown Westchester. It came back last year for the first time after a few years of cancellations from the pandemic. And we understand from, obviously working with the Westchester Borough Police Department and Public Works, we had record numbers of people in town last year for the parade. And we anticipate that we will have big crowds again this year. We've already started marketing the event, obviously to the residents of the borough of Westchester that love this event, and to people outside of our community that come to Westchester specifically for this event. And I think we've even talked to council in the past that we even hear from people that have moved to this community because of events like the Christmas parade. What I am here to request support from the parking committee tonight, and ultimately to make a recommendation to Borough Council, is for support from the parking committee to utilize, I think, some of the revenue that's generated from fees charged in the garages the evening of the parade to help offset the invoice to the Greater Westchester Chamber of Commerce for the services provided by police and Public Works the evening of the parade. That is something that the parking committee and council approved last year, which ended up really being crucially helpful for the chamber in order for us to continue executing and putting on this really big event for our community. As you can imagine, there are significant costs to the work that we do to put the parade on. And not just the parade itself, but also I'm sure everybody really enjoys and has enjoyed the last several years the new addition of the decoration of the lights that the chamber puts up throughout the borough. And really exciting news this year is that we are expanding the lights. So in addition to the lights on Gay Street from Matlack all the way down to Darlington, the same footprint on Matlack, and then on High from Chestnut to Minor, we are adding lights this year to both Church Street between Gay and Market Street and to Walnut Street between Gay and Market Street. So we are covering 2 additional blocks. That is due to additional sponsorship money that we brought in. And Delvaccio Christmas Decor that puts up all of those professional lights for us is donating the lights on Walnut Street to the borough. So just a lot of really amazing partnerships that the chamber has developed in order to bring this event and programming to the borough of Westchester year after year. And we consider the borough and council, partners as well. So want to make that formal request from the parking committee to make that recommendation to council for that financial support from the garage revenue again this year.
I am comfortable with this.
You're always in favor of everything. Yeah. As long as it's a party, you're in favor of it. The,
We do have a party too. There's a VIP area, and you're both invited.
they do. Have the police done a feasibility study for you this year on what it's going to cost for the police protection and public works and all that stuff?
I'm not sure what kind of study they've done. We've had,
Because we have to have a starting number
sure.
in order to do a discount.
We are working directly with Sergeant Malicki. He's
Okay.
our lead on the event. We've had, I've had 2 meetings, one informal meeting down in the staging area for the parade. Because challenges down there that the police are giving us guidance on. And then we had a formal meeting. The mayor was in attendance, other, members of the Public Works Department, the police, to really kind of start to talk through the plan. My understanding is that the number of police that we'll have this year will hover right around the same, maybe a few more. So that's about all I know in
I
terms
just
of
know
the
that we
study.
need- Mr. Metric, we need a baseline on where we start. And then
Mhm.
this was negotiated prior to COVID. And then doing away with the QVC and making it more of a hometown Christmas event.
Right.
And
Which will continue this year.
Yeah.
There won't be a run. There won't be a, I think one of the big questions was the village. There had been tents and vendors set up on High Street. That will not happen again. I don't anticipate us bringing that back at all.
yeah,
So
I just want to make sure that we have a baseline, and Mr. Metric, and the percentage of rebate.
Yeah, we should put some costs together for this event so we can have a conversation, because so far I haven't heard what we're just asking about generalities, but we need to
Right.
get down to the numbers.
mhm.
We put together staffing plans for events like this, and the Christmas parade had anywhere from 7 to 9 officers at $180 an hour. That's probably the biggest cost, but there's also costs associated with emergency medical services, any fire or public works vehicles that need to be there, and any minor costs associated with blockades and cones and things like that.
Mhm.
But we should put a budget together. And I do remember last year we were charging $20 for
Yep.
parking at the
Yes, we
garage.
increased the fee to 20, yeah.
Was a lot more than we had charged for special events in the
Yeah.
past.
Exactly, it is. It was almost double. Because I think it was about $10 when I first got here, when I had brown hair. And now I have, I look like a Q-tip. So it's well worth it.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page,
Sure.
and no surprises, because, it's very important.
Yeah.
And of course I support it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm happy to come to council meeting to, discuss at that point as well.
Well, the main thing is Mr. Metric will work out with you and
Yeah.
safety,
Right.
what the costs are.
Yeah.
And then do whatever the rebate is. So, going in you'll know before the parade.
Yeah, set the
So you-
expectation,
the
right,
expectation's
yeah.
set, yeah.
We have another meeting scheduled here at the Borough Building with our team and with Sergeant Malicki in early November. So that's
Yeah.
helpful.
It's important to get it done sooner than later.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. I appreciate
Yeah.
you spearheading it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And let's move on to the garage management monthly report.
How are you?
I'm a little under the weather, so if my voice, yeah, sorry about that. So, month of September. So for Bicentennial Garage, transient parking was 43,576, down to budget by 8,900 over last year, down 11,000. Year to date, 445,912. With a variance of a minus 26.6 to budget, but up 16,009 over last year. For Chestnut, talk about the special event. We had a special event this month. For that garage, we generated 5920, which was a pretty good amount for that small garage. And then total for September for bicentennial was 88,776. Over prior year, it was minus 6,700. Year to date, 789,179. Down to budget, 64,771, but up over prior year, 10,485. So still positive year to date numbers. For Chestnut, Chestnut transient parking was 51,304, over $11,000 over budget, 7,700 over prior year. Year to date, 364,337, and variance of 5,470 over year, or variance over year to date budget. But 57,662 over last year. So strong, still year-to-date numbers. Opportunity obviously is with the monthlies. Monthly for September for bicentennial was 38,775. It's down 35,34. To variance, it's down 603. Year to date, it's down 13,000. So for next year, that would be a huge opportunity. For the monthly for Chestnut, monthly is 85,527, down 971 versus budget. Had a positive over last year, 2372. And year to date number 677,144. But a variance of 83,337 with a variance over last year of 29,699 in the negative. But it seems like they did pick up some ground with people coming back to school, so that's good. For the special event, the garage crushed it, was 9180, so almost $10,000, which was it's just a very good number. So total all in for the special event was a little over $15,000 for the restaurant festival they had. So that was it's positive numbers. Total all in for both garages for September was 236,637, $10,000 over budget. Variance versus prior year, positive 15,000. And then year-to-date number, 1,880,420, 134,000 in the negative over, to the budget, but 58,258 all in positive for the year. So good numbers as far as, we're still in the positive, which is great. I think with the Christmas parade, we'll dig into some of those negative numbers too, because I think it's only going to be better than last year as far as the numbers. They're going through, they had some issues. The issues we've been having this past month has been with, we're having an issue actually right now with Comcast. They're doing work in the area or something, and we keep getting these texts saying that they're upgrading and there's outages. So she's been struggling. It's about 5 or 6 days in September. We've been struggling with the internet access, and it's because they're doing work in this area, which is very frustrating. So other than that, they're wrapping up the power washing and cleaning in the garages. So this is, I believe, the last week that that's going to happen. And I believe that's all we have as far as the parking. Any questions for us on anything?
Do we have a plan for dealing with the Comcast outages?
So I have to get with my superiors, and they have to figure out what to do, because it's all of a sudden an issue, and I don't know why. Occasionally you get an outage here and there with a thunderstorm or something like that, but this has been 5 or 6 days of a couple hours blocked out, which is not good. So because it's an internet space.
So I want to thank you for breaking out the special event pricing. So that breaking those things out helps us understand a lot. So
Absolutely. And I think, like I said, I think with, I think it's going to be even better this coming, because we saw a huge increase over last year with the restaurant festival. So I think each year it's going to start getting better and better, unless we get rain.
I only have one question
Go.
for you. On September 16th, there was a function up on the roof.
Mhm.
Did you break out anything for how many free passes we gave for that that night and what it cost?
That would probably be the validations.
If you don't have it, that's fine. You know, you
I
get it to
don't have it,
Ramsey.
but I can get
Yeah.
it to Ramsey.
It's important
absolutely.
because what we're going to try to start doing is seeing what various events that we are rebating back to the bid and the various organizations that use the garages.
Sure.
And we're trying to come up with a round number of exactly what we donate back to the
Absolutely.
organizations.
I can get that to
Yeah, it was
Ramsey,
the
not a problem.
16th. It was a beautiful night.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the last year it was awesome.
Yeah.
You did a nice job.
So, thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's
All right.
Sheila, I just want to offer one thing for you guys for the internet connection. So at all of our facilities here, we have Verizon and Comcast. They go into a switch. So one is acting redundant to the other. So yes, it would cost having both ISPs in that building. However, you would probably save some money because you wouldn't have downtime. So you have both ISPs going to one router. If one goes down, then the other one picks it up and your office doesn't even know. So we do that at all of our buildings here. So if you want to talk about it or any advice, just give us a call. We know what equipment to buy, and you would just contact Verizon and have a second connection in there going into a special router that manages both of the ISPs. All right, we're here for you. No
Thank
problem.
you very much.
William, all your work is billable hours, please, just like a lawyer. Thank you very much. We don't give anything away here. It's taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Total for Aqua was $355.
Okay, we'll go on to C, which is Susan Hamley, Executive Director, Chester County County Tourism, Brandywine Valley Wayfinding Presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for having us this evening. And us is myself, Susan Hamley, Chester County Tourism, as well as John Bozio here. He's a nationwide expert on wayfinding signage, and he just happens to live right here in Westchester. So we're fortunate to have him. I'll give you a little background. What we're asking is for you to consider becoming a signing district with PennDOT, and it requires background. So if we can go through a couple of slides, that'll make more sense. The next one, please. So you may have seen all over Chester County that there are wayfinding signs that direct people to attractions, primarily nonprofit, but they're places that our visitors and our locals want to find. And you might say, why is that important today when everybody has GPS? Wayfinding signs are more than GPS. For me, I moved here from somewhere else 10 years ago, and it was just nice to have it on my phone, but to see the sign, to know I'm in the right place. But more than that, it's marketing. So if you're driving around and you find out there's an American Helicopter Museum, you didn't know about that, you're possibly going to come back or stay longer. And that brings people here spending the night, eating in our restaurants, dining in our shops, et cetera. So it's economic impact. So this is what they look like today. And now that you see them, if you haven't noticed them, you will. They're really quite horrifying. We call them Miami Vice because of the colors, magenta and teal, but they're also fading, falling apart. But John does a better example of sharing this here, but this is what we want to replace. And I'll say before we go too far, at no cost to you, because that's important to hear, and I can tell you how we would do that. So John can take you through how this came to be and what we're trying to do about it, to fix it.
Sure. Hi, I'm John Bozio. I'm with Merge. We are right there on Church Street. And as Susan said, we work all over the country developing wayfinding programs. We've met before with the parking signs. You'll see those as we go through this. But these are the existing signs. They're out of compliance. They're out of date. They're all over Chester County. In order to replace them, Susan has to go to all 26 communities and get a resolution to adopt the system as a signing district. You could see they're hidden behind trees. There's sometimes you'll come across 4 of them, 3 of them directing to the same place. I drive by this every morning on my way in. There's one right which we're trying to replace as you leave Westchester Borough that directs to HERS chip factory, which is 22 miles away down Route 1. So again, they were installed in the late 80s. They're not compliant. This project was put together with the Delaware portion of the Tourism Bureau as well. So you will see those signs in northern Wilmington as we go through these. So flip through. This is the system. The ones in Delaware are purple. We have changed the design for the ones in Chester County to be blue, which is closer to the Westchester blue now, which is perfect. And this matches their branding. So they will be compliant with the PennDOT requirements for copy height, breakaway, reflectivity, all the things that go with it. When we designed the system, we designed it with the idea that it can get extended into the local communities, which we've been trying to do here for many, many, many years. And we built it into a parking system for our own town. But that's not part of what we're asking the approval for. We are just asking for the approval to do 2 signs in Westchester, one at Price Street as you're coming in off of 52. And there's another one when you get to the corner where the Burger King used to be to direct people at that point. It is designed in a way that can be extended into the borough if the borough will extend that to other things that you currently direct to on the signs that are out there that are outdated. This is what it looks like built. This is in northern Newcastle as you come out of Wilmington, and it directs to the various attractions down there. It is about awareness. I know everybody has a phone. We all use our phone. It is about awareness of what you can do while you are here. We don't need a sign directing to hers. We need just signs directing to downtown Westchester. The key part of this first phase is to have signs along Route 1 where Longwood is and connect that to Westchester and connect back. I make that drive every day, so I made sure that there's a sign down by Longwood that says downtown Westchester this way, and then you follow it up. It gets you to the university, and then as you come into town, it gets you to downtown Westchester University and the History Center. So Susan and I have, you're the third, fourth of the 26. The 4 are in that first phase. So Susan's group has a grant that she has to spend by March. So we're trying to get the approvals of getting a signing district for each of those 4 so that they can go to bid and install the signs. They do not cost the borough anything, and they will do all the maintenance on the signs that are required. They've been doing that for 30 years. So the request here really is for Westchester Borough to adopt the signing district. They will then do an agreement with Susan for the maintenance of them, again, at no cost. By doing that, even though it's only 2 signs now, it puts you in place of having a signing district. So if we can possibly extend the system to direct to other things within the borough, we can. You don't need it to do the parking, that's your own signage. So that's what the request is.
No trouble at all. It's free. The other issue, the only question I do have is because you're a third party coming into a sovereign state, what about insurance? If the sign blows over and hits one of the college kids down there, what happens with the insurance there?
Valid question. We have insurance. We've had insurance since day one for all of Chester County as well as the Delaware CVB equivalent. So everything would be transparent to you. PennDOT requires, we cannot be a signing district, or I would have. Chester County itself said, we'll just be a signing district for the whole county. And they said, no, you can't do that. It has to be. So we wouldn't be bothering you with the request if we could do it another way, but we can't. So with your approval to do that, we will do what we've always done. We will pay for them. We will fabricate and install. We'll get bids. We will cover the insurance and pay for it all for our attractions, because most of them, as I said, are nonprofits and they can't really afford it. And you don't want to leave somebody off because they can't be part of the system. And as John said, we already have, Kennett Square is already signed,
Sure.
agreement is done. We have West Scotian and Chadds Ford have intent to sign. We're just going through the paperwork which is required. And then we're here today to see if you would agree. And I'll just, the delegation agreement that we're talking about is that document that you can change as you need to work for your township. It doesn't matter to me how you want to word it, as long as we're held responsible, you're not paying for anything, and that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Good. Mr. Metric, the only thing I want to make sure is that in the file, we have an insurance policy. And then somehow you put it in your computer every year. You request a updated insurance policy every year. Thank you.
So Dana will make sure that happens. This is very exciting to me. Please do all of it. Please continue doing all of it. I want all the parking signs. Wayfinding sign is hugely important to me. Like the borough deserves this. This is very important. We need to market. We need to push. We need to tell people what's here. So thank you for doing that. Who is getting rid of those old signs?
The company who is, isn't it the same company?
Yeah, so whoever wins the bid they'll have to remove the existing.
And are they only removing those fuchsia signs?
Only the Miami Vice signs, yeah. Right now, there's only one in the borough proper. There's some along the edges.
So I would like to talk to you more at a later time about how we can do more and more. So thank you. I'm in full support of this right now.
Bernie knows this. We did a plan for wayfinding for the entire borough. It's all
Oh,
done.
I'm,
Parking's done.
I
It's-
know.
Then the pandemic hit and then we were this close.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. You're closer. You're closer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're UArts alum too.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
We're UArts alum too.
Okay. Moving on to the director's report.
Okay. This will be quick. Just a reminder that guest passes are available for pickup for all homeowners and non-student renters during 9 to 4. If you do need them after hours, I can make myself available. I've learned how to use the computer. We will be posting 2 block radiuses for all of the voting precincts in the area for Election Day. The office will be closed on November 7th, which is also Election Day, for training. So all parking needs that day will be handled by the police non-emergency number, and I'll put that on the website as well. Just want to keep telling people so they don't show up here angry. We will be doing meter certification during the month of November to certify all of our meters again, and the officers actually did their training today. And as of October 4th, we approved 3,022 permits. So that was a lot. The monthly revenue for September tickets were up from August. Posting revenue was up. Lease revenue was the same. Meter revenue was up, and permit revenue was down just a little bit because everybody came in August. So total revenue was 305,000 for the month. Cool. And,
Keep going.
yeah.
All right, the draft lease of the second floor parking at Chester County Justice Center Parking Facility, 200 Block West Market.
So before we go through this, I wanted to ask a question because I went to the solicitor's office to talk about this lease. And then I wanted to pose a question, which is, do we want to lease? Like, why are we enforcing the Justice Center? And she had asked that to us, and I wanted to ask, she said, maybe ask council and parking committee why we are doing this and if it's worth it. We are kind of having a battle of the wits as far as getting access to some of the data for the parking enforcement over there. And I understand the county wants to protect their data, but we kind of need it to enforce the tickets, well, the disputes. We have it in the handhelds, so we can ticket the cars for the, like, with the license plates, but I can't get access to their login to look at the tickets for disputes. And in going through this, I wondered, is it worth it? And do we want to be doing that? We do have 6 officers for the whole borough. And so I wanted to pose the question, and I wanted to hear what your thoughts were. It is not part of the land development. And
I think we backed into this thing. The county backed us into it because they couldn't figure out how to give their own tickets and manage their own parking lot. And you being very gracious says, well, let me look into it and see what we could do. And if they're not willing to deal, let us run it like we're running our own parking garages, then why would why are we going to go to court and have them dismissed anyway? So my opinion is let the sheriffs go over there, give tickets, and frees up our people to do stuff on the street that they need to do. I mean, that's their building.
Right.
I don't know why we're doing it for them, but we were being very kind
Yeah.
in the very beginning. That was my thought. Is that how you read it, Mr. Metrick?
I think you and I are on the same page. We ran into an issue, I guess it was last year, where it came to my knowledge that we were enforcing parking regulations on private property. And it put our officers in such a bad situation to go on to property the borough doesn't own and enforce a system that's different everywhere we went that we had no hand in creating. Now, this is a little simpler. They're actually using the same payment technology that we are. If they agreed to allow our staff to resolve disputes, I think it could be pretty seamless to manage this. But honestly, that's where we're at with this. Is this fundamentally something the borough should be doing? And then those kinds of questions really should be put to the elected people.
I believe that fundamentally, if it's not our property, I don't think that we should be enforcing. We have residents who are calling about people in their driveways, and that's not for parking to deal with. That's a police issue. I think that the parking authority has a lot to do, and parking's a big deal. So I think that if it was seamless and it worked perfectly, it's another government thing, then maybe. But I think if it's not working, I don't think that we should feel obligated to be doing this.
Okay. So we can put a pin in it for now.
I think, I don't remember whether all council approved it or not, or whether it was just something that the parking authority was doing. If it is, then we have to put it on the agenda for next week.
Yeah.
Bring it
I'm
to full council.
okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
If you don't want me playing in your sandbox,
Right.
don't invite me.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll put it on to discuss with full council. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to move on to F, notification process for ordinance 202211 Adams Street.
So I know they're doing site work over there. Land development final land development has still not been approved, but from what I understand, there's still ample parking within the site envelope. So I don't think we need to sign it and start ticketing over there yet. We'll still continue as is.
Do we have Mr. Metrick, do we have any sort of concept of a timeline as to how close we think we are to needing something?
I think it'll heat up once construction heats up, and certainly we would need it in place once a 500,000 square foot warehouses
Definitely.
are operational.
I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that we're notifying the neighbors with enough lead time.
I think you're safe to hold the enforcement in abeyance for now.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Then we'll move on to the action items. Recommendation for Borough Parking Lot Number 5, 109 South High Street, leasing to the United Methodist Church of Westchester.
So I gave you guys a memo of a couple of, two options, both viable for Lot 5 of ways to proceed. I think you've had time to review. I know it's the two of you. I'd like to hear your thoughts on.
Could you maybe talk about what the two options
Sure.
are? Just
So-
from the room now.
Sure. So the first option would be to extend the lease for the church for 1 year at a rate of the current rate, which would be $75 per month. The current lease is for 18 spaces or about half the lot. The most important non-negotiable very most important, with that each space must be utilized by a license plate permit. And we said that the church would be able to provide a list of up to 55, give or take, license plates for the year that we would put into the system for permit holders. The lease spaces would be enforced from 8 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, after which they would be utilized as kiosk parking and users would pay as needed. We said 8 to 6 because that would give time for the daycare pickup and drop off. And then for large gatherings at the church would be able to rent the unleased spaces for the annual daily rates on an as-needed basis by using the borough meter rental posting request. And then option 2 is to just leave the lot as public parking and allow the church to utilize the kiosks as needed.
The enforcement time of that would be like 8 a.m. to, what was the?
For the fully kiosk lot? That would be the typical, Monday through Wednesday is 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And Thursday and Friday is 8 to 12. And then Saturdays is 5 to midnight, and no enforcement on Sundays. It's just one sign with a lot of words on it, but yeah. And the kiosk actually has been updated and the app. So it's, yeah.
I was comfortable with the first option. I think that it solved a lot of issues, and the most important thing for me was the consistency of the way that the parking is being managed, and still providing the church with something that they could be comfortable using, especially for the daycare. I still wish they had a drop-off situation, but a car line, but I know that's difficult. So I was comfortable with the first option.
Yeah, the first option gives the church time to prepare for what they need to do. And this way here, it doesn't disrupt everything that has caused a lot of angst lately, so it'll give them time to be able to prepare for 2025, I guess, because we're going to probably put it into effect,
Yeah.
in January.
Okay.
So it doesn't make sense starting in the middle of the year. So to me, it doesn't.
Okay.
What do you think, Ms. Kara?
Yeah.
Yeah, now that'll give them almost a year and a half to get themselves under control.
Sure.
And then in 2025, what actually happens? They can lease. It says extend the lease for, all we're talking about is for 1 year. So what happens in 2025?
We have a conversation again.
I wouldn't wait that long.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that as long as we know this is happening, we can have a conversation and, be on top of this. But I think we can be on top of it and have the conversation, and we will know more about parking. This won't go 20 years without either party looking into it.
Okay.
Yeah. But that would give the church some time. Bicentennial might open up a bunch of parking spaces too. Who knows? But that's fine with me if that's, and
Yep,
then we can
that's
put this on.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Moving on to B is a motion to approve the draft Chapter 77 residential permit ordinance and schedule a hearing date.
So I did update a couple minor little things in this that I will, I don't know if you guys read this. I hope everyone read this because it's so nice. But one of the comments that I wanted to mention that the solicitor mentioned was that we consider taking the permit areas and times of enforcement out of the ordinance and putting them into a resolution so that when we make modifications, it isn't such a laborious endeavor and costly to the borough, especially knowing that we might be changing things with the land development moving forward. So that's one thing that I wanted to see if we could try to do before a work session next week so that we could advertise this if you guys like all of the changes.
I love that.
Okay.
I enjoyed reading, especially the history.
The legislative intent. So everything at the beginning is the same. It's just cleaner to read. The big changes were the parking permit types under 77.5. So now they're broken into owner occupied dwelling, residential parking permit. There's tenant occupied dwelling, residential parking permit. There's student home residential parking permit, and that now allows for out-of-state parking or out-of-state license plates for students. They have to provide their rental registration form through Building and Housing, which proves that they are a student at Westchester University through our Building and Housing Department. So nobody can kind of skirt the student portion of this. There's the non-residential parking permit, and student rentals will no longer receive guest passes at this time. We also, under ineligibility for parking permits and guest passes, this was already in there, the Washington Square Apartments. This includes the Burger King property. And then this also includes the Rubensteins and Mitch's Gym, as council had directed us to include. So those 4 parcels are now included in here. And then it updates the regulations for special business permits so that if you want a special business permit, you cannot park overnight and you need proof of ownership of a car registered to a business and insurance for the business. And we've created a rental property management permit, which will be a hang tag that a property management company can share, which is not allowed for overnight parking, but that you can use for property management reasons. So I think,
Can I just ask for
Yes.
clarification on that?
yes.
And yeah, I read this, but no, I didn't receive all of it. For the rental management permits,
Mhm.
is it per company, per building, how,
Per building.
building?
Mhm.
So what if I have a gigantic building? Still one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing a lot of work, you can contact us and we can make accommodations. Like if you're getting construction done, we can post for you. But we had a lot of companies that were asking for like 15 permits for 3 properties, and it really felt like people were really trying to take advantage of it. We can always find ways to accommodate, but it felt like it's easier to do it this way and then find ways to accommodate for the exceptions rather than
Write the rule for the exception.
right. So
I appreciate this. Thank you very much. I think
Yeah.
it's cleaner and I
Yeah.
that one, I need the
It-
clarity.
It was a
Thank you.
lot of thought, so happy with how it came out. So,
I'm very happy with the student permit situation.
I
Moving
think-
somewhere, moving anywhere is better than where it's been. So thank you.
Hopefully it helps.
Okay, let's move on to the motion to approve the bid.
Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
I just want to bring to your attention, there are some people here tonight who wanted to make some comment on the committee's last action item. And if that's, if
Oh,
the chairperson would
that is
consider
fine.
hearing
That is fine.
comments.
Hi. Hello. I'm Reverend Dr. Truman Brooks, 335 Price Street, Senior Pastor, United Methodist Church of Westchester. Let me begin by saying thank you. Really, thank you. We are grateful for the work of Ramsey and the Parking Committee in trying to develop a solution for lot number 5 that meets the needs of our church, of Wayne Samaritano Church, and the United Methodist Children's Center. And I'm delighted that you offer as an option the possibility of our church leasing these 18 spots in Lot 5. They are necessary for us to survive and thrive. We're on board with paying the market rate for these spaces, $75 a month. There are a few concerns and questions with option number 1 that we would like to bring before you for consideration. And I'll give these comments to the managing director when I'm done so you have a copy of them. In point 1, we would like you to consider a longer than 1 year commitment. I believe that none of us want to come back in this room a year from now and go through the kind of scenes that we may be going through in the next week or two. Perhaps a 5-year commitment or longer would be more appropriate. We also would like a contracted agreement that includes maybe a notice to rescind by either party, maybe a little bit longer than 60 days, which is what we had before in our last agreement. In point number 3, we really need the lease to extend until 9 p.m. That's what we'd like you to consider. Our previous agreement was for 24/7, according to the parking study. Our building is in use on a routine basis, Sunday through Thursday evenings. Allowing for kiosk parking after 6 is going to deeply cripple many of our programs for all 3 of our organizations. The kiosk parking sign in lot number 5 presently states 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Thursday and Friday, 5 p.m. through 12 a.m. Saturday. Clearly, multiple timings can be posted there, okay? For our leased spots, you could post 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. Monday through Friday and add some income for the borough while allowing neighbors to park in the evenings after our programs are done. Final point from me, and I realize that I think the key aspect of this whole proposal is enforcement. You know, I keep hearing that you want to be able to enforce the same way throughout the borough. So why not allow us to enforce our own leased spots during posted hours? The parking department has already changed the policy of enforcing parking regulations on private property. Last week, I asked for a car to be ticketed on our alley behind our church in a spot that we own. And that's when I discovered this policy, okay? Because I was told that parking enforcement could not come and ticket that. We were told we needed to call the police to enforce it. The police promptly told me, tow the car if it's on your property. So why can't we simply keep the enforcement question out of the loop for these leased spots and let us tow cars that are in our leased spots and we can know who they are? That would solve problems for everyone, we believe. Thank you for listening, for your consideration, for your hard work in making decisions that are very hard, and we're here to help in any way we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mackenzie Carroll, 129 South High Street. I am the director of the United Methodist Children's Center on Westchester. I would also like to express my gratitude to the Parking Committee for their continued diligence in the matter of Lot 5 and for working with us to find a solution that fits our needs as well as your own. This has been an extremely emotionally charged time for our Children's Center as we've been fighting post-pandemic to keep our center going each day for various reasons. So we appreciate your time and consideration on all these matters. There's 2 points that I would like to add to Truman's points on option number 1. In point 2, limiting us to 55 license plates, we find that would be impossible. We should not be forced to divert a significant number of our visitors to a couple spots in the back. This would create a log jam during UMCC pickup and drop-off times. We find it imperative to allow our parents to come in and speak with the teachers or myself at drop-off and pickup, and having them rush in and out to open a space in the back for a parking spot would take this huge benefit out of our center. If we are paying for all 18 spots, why would we not be allowed to use them to our full advantage for parents, staff, and community members that are meeting in our center? And in point 4, we would like to know what the rate per hour would be. Is it $150 per hour or $4.25 a day like the Bicentennial Garage monthly 24/7 rate? Finally, would we be able to do this on a regular basis up to 4 times per week? You've read, I won't list off all the community groups that meet in our center because you've read it 100 times, I'm sure, but we do have so many groups that meet and require these parking spots. So we would need them frequently past those hours. And again, I want to thank you all. I'm happy to be here again today, and I'm happy it's a little bit later this time.
Thank you.
I just have a question. 304 South Walnut Street, Brian Travis. I think both of these options were well thought out. I mean, obviously the first one was well thought out based on our feedback and a lot of the, public comments that we've made over the last couple months. Is it possible for us, versus just talking about what we don't like in this, to actually submit an option 3 that builds on option 1 before this goes to vote? It's a question. Can we?
Well, the problem, Brian, is what we talked about tonight, option 1. That puts you on a respirator for a year and a half, so we can.
Can you clarify that?
Yeah, it puts the church on a respirator. What it does.
What does that mean, though? What's a respirator?
It gives them a year and a half to try to work through the system on what we could actually work on.
Okay, what are you trying to solve?
Well, the lot doesn't belong to the church. The lot belongs to the borough. That's the first thing.
I know, but we've asked and we have not had an answer.
What the parking director is trying to do is make all the lots pretty much operate in the same manner, okay? And by leasing 18 spots, you command.
Okay, actually, you don't have to explain it now, but I think before we move forward, we really need to understand what's driving this. What problem are you trying to solve? Why the direct disruption? Why this? We all have been very emotionally involved in this. It's been a lot of work for everybody. We still don't know at the end of the day what problem you're trying to solve. If it's efficiency and easy.
What we've done now is we've come to an agreement that the two of us, which will go on to council next week, to look at, to see how we can come to a general consensus on how we're going to treat lot 5. What happens is you have 7 other people.
It's not answering the question. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I really need a valid reason for why you're creating so much disruption for an organization that's been here for 200 years. 18 spots is a drop in the bucket in terms of what's available in the borough. There's a lot of pain in this room right now, and it doesn't seem like we're being heard, or you're addressing this with empathy or the right amount of thought. I'm
Thank you.
I'm finished.
Thank you. Ramsey, would you like to answer? You can wait a minute, please. Could you answer Mr. Travis's assertions?
I think the problem, I don't know how to articulate this easily. We understand that the church wants to use the lot. Everybody wants to use the lot. So we want to make sure the lot is available for everyone. And I think that, the option 1, and the way that I tried to set it up would be that you guys could use it, making sure that it was available for pickup and drop off of the daycare, knowing that there were 55 spots available for the employees, because that was the number that was used. I knew that you guys had 55 employees there. It's hard for us to enforce if we can't enforce the lot if we don't know who's in there. So we need the license plates. So the way you guys operate it, if you're saving the spaces because you might use it, it keeps anybody else from being able to park in there, and for us to be able to clearly enforce it unless the church calls for us to enforce it, that doesn't work in the way that we operate. It's not clean, and it's not the way that we want to set the precedent for the rest of the lots in the borough. So while I understand that that's the way that the church would like it to work, that would actually mean that option 2 would be easier for you. I know it doesn't, but that's annoying for you guys, because then you would have to put your license plates in and you would have to use the app. So, I understand what you're going for, but in a perfect world, like, this would be the best compromise is option 1. So I'm trying to make a fair compromise for both of us, I felt like option one was a solid win. And then with the 7 spaces in the back, knowing that could be your pickup drop off. Anyone else could come fairly use the extra spaces on the other side if they want to come hang out and park for longer. But at some point, we are going to have to meet in the middle. And that's why after 6 p.m., maybe it is a matter of people that are visiting the church. You guys have a system where you write your license plate on your little chit where you park and the church pays you back, or you have a tab, and maybe you guys figure out an invoicing system. I know it's not perfect, but maybe it's actually a cost savings in the end. I don't know, but maybe there's options there. I'm trying to figure,
This is why I asked about,
Yeah.
we could submit an option for your it seems like you're discussing that right
Mhm.
now. Communicating.
Yeah.
Work.
Yeah.
We do too.
Yeah.
As it's written, it sort of works. And if this is a extension or a lifeline for a year, you need a better answer.
I do want to say that asking for changes on both sides is completely legitimate, and we need this conversation. But we need some compromise from the church. We need some behavior changes. It's the borough's property. It's not my property. It's all of our properties. And we need to share it in a way that is not just controlled by the church. That would be your back lot. You can do whatever you want with that. You can, whatever you want. But those spots are not property of the church. They're property to everyone in this borough and everyone who visits the borough. We need to figure out a way that we can not only do it here in this lot, but also in the other lots in our borough. This is a much larger problem. I know it sounds like we're taking your spots away. We're trying to solve a problem in a moving way and continue moving in a positive direction.
Asking the question, what problem is it? And you can't just say parking. Who? Like, who's asking to park in this lot? What is the current problem you're trying to solve? It's not clear.
Parking is a gigantic problem. Parking is so big. It is not something that is not a problem because you don't know Joe Smith's name. Parking is a massive problem, and it's only going to be getting worse with the building and the development that is happening in this borough.
So that small lot in that area, I mean, there's Diadoce, there's businesses in that area, there's businesses all along High Street and in that area. It's not just residents. There's businesses that serve that parking lot can and should serve. So, if that area is taken and saved just for the church, then that's places people can't park in there. So it's just. We want to make sure that anyone can park there. And that's the problem. If we're holding it just for the church, that's half a lot that's not available. We've only got 45 spaces in that area other than Bicentennial. So we just want to make sure it's accessible for everyone. I don't have a specific person. I mean, have people ask me about that lot? Yeah. But, I don't have businesses that are like, I want to lease that spot. It's just, we have very limited parking lots. We have 8 surface lots, especially on that side of town. There's not a lot. So it's really just access.
Except the garage.
But I could say the same to you. The garage is right there. So it's just accessibility for people.
Ramsey, thank you.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I apologize. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mandy McClure, 514 South Maryland. I was actually going to piggyback on kind of what you said. I know we've talked a lot about transparency. We had the meeting where everybody got together between the church. Why wasn't this shared with the church? Why did we have to contact to find out the plan, like if we're being transparent. So your options, we had to contact you guys to get the options. So in the, spirit of transparency, why wasn't that communicated like after? So if we're talking about option 3 as a possibility, we could not be in the situation if we had been transparent with what the plan was going to be. Maybe consult with the church again. They could have had this opportunity prior to this meeting to discuss their concerns.
Those plans took time to develop and they were posted on the website. And
The agenda was,
No,
but we as
no.
the church had to request the options.
You requested it from me and I got it. I showed you where it was on the website.
Okay.
I'm trying to be transparent. I'm not trying to hide anything from you. I want you to see this. I want you to reach out with your thoughts. That's very important. This is an open conversation and I'm not trying to hide anything from you. Please know that.
Well, in going with option 3, if that is truly a possibility, having that and being told ahead of time that this option was even being presented may have helped some of the situation. And now coming here and seeing the lines and having, groups of people coming up to continue to discuss how it may not work for the church the way they would like. That's my only point.
I'm Karen Herr. I live at 331 Dean Street. I've been a 51-year member of the Westchester United Methodist Church. Maybe it would help you to have some history. We had a small fire in the back of the church in the late 1990s. And we as a congregation went through a multi-month process of determining what our vision was. Do we leave the church, the town, like other churches have done and create a different facility? We decided we needed to be an in-town church. We serve Salvation Army, we serve Safe Harbor, we're very active in the community. We spent over $5 million on that building. $5 million, and we did not have that many people, and we paid it off in time. We actually stopped in the middle of construction because they were going to use stucco on the top, and it just didn't look like it belonged in the community. We actually voted another $25,000 into that $5 million budget to make it look consistent with the borough. We have taken every measure possible to be a good neighbor to the borough. Our bishop, our minister at the time, who became a bishop, they actually thought about buying that parking lot and creating a different facility so it would be all ours. But we decided that wasn't good for the community either. So Bishop Scholl wrote to the parking authority and said, can we lease these spaces? Now, I know that you guys didn't come back to us for more money, but we would have paid more money, and we're probably still willing to pay more money. The big thing is we have 65 families in the Children's Center. Mother picks it up, father drops the child off. There are 55 license numbers. It's not adequate. We have El Buen Samaritano, a Hispanic congregation, who shares our church. We have a web dance, which is citizens who are somewhat disabled or whatever. And they come, they actually have to park on the sidewalk. There's not enough space. We have a mission I was at today called Sunshine Memory Cafe. We now are up to over 20 people. That means at least 10 cars every time we meet. These are people who have people who are suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's. That's the ministry of the church. We have staff. We have lots of meetings. Our United Women of Faith meet throughout the year, and all those 55 spots is a drop in the bucket. A church is not a 9 to 6. It is a full day operation. I think you need to think again about what you're doing, because the investment we made in the borough deserves more than what we're getting back. I think you need to be more receptive to making the the lot open for that side, I'm sure that we could negotiate a rate that, and my husband actually took pictures of both sides of the lot, and there were more cars in our side than the other side. So it's not like it's parked up all the time. If you could consider making more accommodations so that we can run a church. Our Wednesday night out program probably has 60 people, and anybody in the community come in and get a $7 dinner. We do a ton, but we are going to be really inhibited if you go with this proposal. I ask that you sit down and maybe look at it again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Valerie Burnett, 709 Hillside Drive. I just wanted to highlight one of our ministries that Karen just briefly mentioned. I'm not sure if you're aware, but, and it's been going on for more than 50 years, and it is our web dance. So one night a month, we have between 20 and 50 adults with intellectual disabilities and their chaperones come to church. Parking down the street or at the garage is not feasible for their safety. Because of this ministry, I was involved in this as a youth in our church, and I was so moved by what we do every month that I became a special ed teacher. So did 6 other people from our church. Thinking 20, 30 students a year, the impact of how that ministry has created a ripple effect to serve over 1,000 special needs people in our community and beyond. That's the impact of what we do. I have our bulletin from this week, and it lists all the staff. But at the bottom of our leadership team, it says, ministers to the world, all our people. And that's what we're trying to do. We need safe, accessible parking. I know it's an issue. I live in the borough. I walk when I can. But I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but there are times that it's not feasible for me to walk and it's not safe at night for me to walk. But I feel like when I can do it, it frees up a parking spot for somebody else. We want to continue to do good, and we just want a conversation so we can continue to do this in a way that allows us to see into the future, since we agreed as a community church to stay in our community. And I just want to leave you with where we're coming from. John Wesley, who founded Methodism, this is what we live by every day. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, and all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you can. That's what we're trying to do. And we just want to have another conversation to see if we can't compromise on this in a way that works better for both of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I have heard what you've brought tonight. I am not deeply moved in my thinking. I'm going to be very upfront with that. I am trying to do good. I am trying to do good by this community, and I'm trying to do good for the church as well. I believe that the church, from the very beginning of this conversation, I have asked for you to compromise. And so far, I have not heard much compromise on your side. I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love for you to share them and not just tell me all the good you do. I know you do amazing work, and I am so happy that you're in our borough. I love that you're part of our community. I love all the things that you're doing. But it doesn't mean that you deserve parking and nobody else does in that one section. I don't understand that equation. So if you want to share ideas and solutions that can make something where people can park there, then by all means share it. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear how wonderful you guys are. You are, and I know it. By all means, you can share it with the public as loud as you want to and as often as you want. You can come every month and say it. But that's not changing my position with needing to share. Please come up.
Hi, my name is Bob McPherson. I'm the property committee chairperson for United Methodist Church
Excuse me
of
for a
Westchester.
second. Could you tell me your last name again?
McPherson, Bob McPherson.
McPherson. Okay, thank you.
And what I've just noticed from being a member of the church for 15 years, and doing a lot of work at the church, it's taking care of the property. What I have never seen that I can recall, and I'm sure we have this extensive study done, that I can probably recall maybe on one handful of times that the other side of that lot that, you know, is run by the kiosk is ever full. And so I'm sure that, you know, like I said, we've done this extensive parking study. And, you know, I'm just curious as to if that side of the lot is never full, why such the big urge to get the side that we're leasing and trying to make a deal with, you know, on a monthly basis or, you know, a rental basis, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I could see if you were fighting for, you know, you had to ride around the block to get a spot in there. I've never seen that except on Sunday mornings when we're going to church. You know, I mean, that's what really I don't understand out of this whole thing. There's always spots open on the other side, but yet, you know, you need not our side, but the side that we lease. I don't know where this is all coming from. You know, like I said, if I had to ride around that block, you know, looking for a spot, but there's always a spot open in there. And that's what's, you know, I'd be interested to see, like, if there's this big study, like, to show where that lot is always full on the other side, you know, because I just, I haven't seen it. And I've been, like I said, I've been going there for 15 years and they're pretty regularly, you know, and that's what I just don't understand about this. You know, it's, we say businesses need them in this, Dia Dolce. I watch people run, park on the other side of the kiosk and go in and out all day long. The cat veterinarian, you know, I just don't see the running around like these spots booked up. And that's what, you know, a lot of us too also don't understand, you know, because it's not that way. It's just not that way.
I don't think that we're claiming it's any particular way. I can tell you that I went to park there the other day and there were no spots available in the whole lot, which is fine. There are times when it is, there are times when it isn't. There are times when I'm going to go sort of on a regular basis and see the same situation over and over. There are times that you're going to go on a regular basis and see the same situations over and over because that's your schedule versus my schedule. We'll see different things. That's why I rely on the studies that we've paid for people to do. The people who work for the borough study it. We watch behaviors. And one of the things that we're asking that is so important is we're asking for change. And change is painful and people hate it. It's like, that's what I do for a living, is try and change things. And it's ugly and it's painful and it's unpleasant. And we have to change it in a way that's going to benefit as many people as possible in a holistic and forward-thinking way. And not just take care of what is right here 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or 20 years ago, but what is coming. And there's a lot coming, and I want to keep moving in that direction, and that's what I'm trying to push for. Do you have something to say?
It's a side anecdote. I received an email from a resident on High Street because they were parked on the the church's side, and he got a ticket overnight because he was parked there. And in our conversation, I said to him, "You know better. You've lived in this house over 50 years. You know that's a paid lot." He said, "Well, the church told me that I could use that overnight if I needed to use it." So that's just a single instance. He paid his tickets. He hasn't returned my emails, but I mean, that's the kind of stuff that, you know, is happening. Now, on your part, whether that left-hand side is open or not, I can't tell you because I drive by, I look, I see cars in there. You know,
No, I understand that. Yeah. I'm just saying that
But, yeah.
That's been my observation,
Yeah.
you know, on many, I'm not saying that I haven't seen it full.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is 90% of the time, if not 95% of the time, you can pull in that other side and find a parking spot. And I don't care what time of day it is.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ramsey, did you have something?
I was just going to say, well, that's one of the issues is that, our officers often see people park on the church lease side and then walk into town to go to dinner because we can't enforce because we don't know who's accessing the church rightfully. So, your spaces that you're paying for are also being used by people unrighteously, which is unfair to you, and they're by kids that are just going to Barnaby's to hang out, and we can't do anything about it because we don't have a way to enforce that.
Miss,
Right. Right.
We didn't call any tickets back.
listen to Ms. Vaccaro, listen to various people, the residents and the church people, Ms. Vaccaro and council is looking for a compromise. And we thought this was a compromise, but apparently you think option 3 is a compromise. So I think what we should do is you see where we stand. You pretty much see what our opinions are. We're all lined up with Ms. Vaccaro. If you want to, within the next 30 days, give the director of parking an option 3, look over it, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then it has to be a big compromise, because we're looking at eliminating the 18 spaces that you currently have. And that's why I used you on a respirator, because our end goal is to eliminate the 18 spaces and maybe let you have 5 or 6 spaces, for rather the time. So that was my opinion on it. But yeah. Yeah. So that's that I think, Mr. Travis, since you were interested in doing option 3, come up with something that everybody can live with and present it to Ramsey, and Ramsey will bring it to us, and we'll see how it fits in the foot fits in the shoe.
And I just want to share the 18 spaces being leased to you under the option that we've presented. I am completely comfortable with. Limiting it down to 5 or 6 it was something that was discussed. That's not necessarily where I want to see it go. I want to see the church share those spaces in a way that our borough is able to enforce. That is the most important thing to me. Yes, I still want a car line, but that's I'm gonna stick with that one because it really is a safety issue in my opinion, but I'm going to just repeat that endlessly. Leasing the spaces to you on a limited basis is still something that I'm completely open to. I see option 1, I'm getting lost here. Option 1 as a starting point that, like we were talking earlier this evening about exceptions to the rule. We shouldn't make a plan that is all about the exception of the church needs these for all these hours and all these days and forever and ever. And that is an exception. That's, if you have once a month a massive event, then let us know and we will make something available as much as we possibly can. But that doesn't mean that you need all those spaces all those days. So it's making those kinds of compromises where you are in regular communication with parking, where we can make exceptions when necessary. But for the most part, these are the standards and the rules. And the standards and the rules need to be there for the residents and the visitors to know. One of the reasons that lot is not used is because it's confusing. It's confusing. parking overall is confusing to especially visitors. And we need to clean up the visitor parking so that it is as little confusing as possible. That is my goal, to make this borough something that my mother, who hates to drive, she lives, a block outside of town, but she doesn't like to drive her car into town because she's afraid of having to park and being confused. And that's a regular concern of people. We need this place to be a destination where people can come to feel comfortable if they see a parking lot, that it's well marked, whether it's private or public. This happens to be a public lot. We need to make it accessible to the public in a very clearly able to understand way. That is what is so important to me.
Same.
I think at this point, we're going to move on.
So should we table this for a month?
We're going to table this for 1 month. Please bring your option 3 to Ramsey as soon as possible. And please don't make option 3 the church gets the spots all the time, because that's not an option that's going to make this, it's not going to work. It doesn't work for the goal of making the borough public space a public space.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's move on to motion to approve the bid from Premier Building Restoration in the amount of $16,212 for the Bicentennial Garage facade repair.
Okay. Don, do you want to talk about this? This was for the water intrusion to Bicentennial Garage. Don did me a solid and put this out to bid. There were 4 responders. Ooh, quite a spread here. And it looks like the lowest responder was Premier Building Restoration in the amount of $16,212, close to the architect's estimate, which was what, 15,000-ish. So we are recommending that you award the contract to Premier Building Restoration in the amount of $16,212, and that would come out of capital for parking.
I'm okay with it. The main thing, Mr. Edwards, is the warranty. The warranty that comes with the water intrusion. That's, if we're going to spend $84,000 or we're spending $16,000, there has to be a labor and material warranty. Labor normally is for a year. Materials are normally for 5 years. So, that way there, some type of warranty should be coming with the package. All right, Mr. Metrick, you okay with that? Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Then approve September 2023 Parking Committee meeting minutes. Approved. Any other business? And I'm going to adjourn.